You've got it. 100.1.
And joining me in the studio, like I mentioned, is registered osteopath and director of the Australian Osteopathic Association. Good to see you, Ray Power.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in as always. Now, just to reiterate, the Osteopath Association.
Yep. So we represent osteopaths and the profession of osteopathy. So osteopathy is a form of manual medicine, similar in line to, say, chiropractic or physio. And
there is a difference, though?
There is a difference, yeah. I suppose our definition is that we look at the whole body system as opposed to chasing areas of pain. That's taught to us from an early age. The body is a unit.
Just define that for me. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so we recognise the important link between the structure of the body and the way it functions. So, for example, the problem coming from, say, a sore knee may actually not be from the knee. It might be from the pelvis or the feet or other areas of the body.
How can you detect that?
Yeah, with the training we have, we do an extensive training. It's a master's degree, so 5 years at university, and we look at all the systems of the body, the way they should be, the way the structure of the body should be, and it's not too hard after a while to pick up imbalances that might be weighing on the functioning of the body.
The actual layout of the body, so you would know what nerve endings are attached to whatever other part of the body, because you're right, deferred pain is very common.
Yeah, we do 4 or 5 years, well, 5 years really, of anatomy and physiology at uni. And in that time, you get to know a lot about the body and the neural structures in the body as well. So in putting them all together, you can come up with a fairly good picture of how everything's working. And even sometimes the pain can be coming from the organs in the body, and they're treatable as well.
Are you still amazed by the body?
Oh, absolutely. Every day. It is fascinating. The way it works is really interesting. When I was putting this together today, I was thinking about a couple of things that we'll probably go through today, hopefully, and just keep being amazed at the way
how it all
that
comes together. How we wake up of a morning, how we start to think, how we get our body moving, and I can say to that finger move, and it does, and it's incredible.
It's an amazing system, and in the end, it's really the structure of our body really is just like belts and pulleys. Really, it's the muscles are just the things
the
that move,
that
pull the joints, and that's our system works like that, and it's just very intricate.
It's interesting how we often say our body's pretty tough and deals with an awful lot, but then again, it can also be extremely vulnerable, can't it?
Once it gets out of balance, and that's really where we feel as a profession we do well. You know, we help people to restore the balance in their body, and
what do you mean by that, though?
Well, there might be the balance might be from something that's not working quite right.
One of our organs.
It might be an organ. It might be a muscle. It might be a group of muscles. So sometimes you'll get, particularly after injury, when the body recovers, it often recovers without getting right back to where it should be. So you might have, for example, if you've had back pain, you might end up with pelvic issues where, say, the glutes aren't working properly, or the psoas is too tight, or the pelvic floor is not quite right. So all of those issues, and then they just, because they're not quite right, eventually they start causing problems somewhere along the line.
So really, the body is designed to all work together 100%.
Yeah, real unit. That's our first principle in osteopathy. The body is a unit.
So when we get unwell,
from that.
Or we have a result of injury, something's hurting, then we have to fix that to get the body back in balance.
Sometimes it's simple. Sometimes you just hurt something, and that's fine. That's easy. But often it's not, especially over time, and especially as we age a bit, we'll tend to get patterns developing. Then we get these pains. It might be back pains, or it might be hip pains, or different pains. And that's where we can look at it a bit further and say, well, actually, that's because of an imbalance that happened probably 20 years ago, and it's never really quite recovered.
Yes, so, I think sports professional players and consistent players of sport would find sometimes down the track. Do you see a lot of that?
Well, I do. I'm just treating one at the moment with osteitis pubis, and it's just that's an exact good example of one where the body's a little bit out of balance. It would be fine if the person wasn't an elite athlete, and he would probably never know about it. But because he is an elite athlete, the body gives way eventually with just overuse, and then the weakness comes through, and then it ends up in an inflammation. In this case, in the pubic area.
Look, walking and perhaps moving a bit faster into the form of jogging, of course, is something that people take up very quickly to get fit in a hurry. Sometimes they do it slowly and build up, that sort of thing. But it has been mentioned that it's not a good thing on your knees or your ankles.
Yeah, jogging is great when you're young, but you do tend to pay for it a bit when you're older. And it's just really the wear and tear in the meniscus in the knee. There's a cartilage between the big bones in the knee, and that tends to wear out a little bit. And so over time, and particularly if you've had any injury with the sports that you might have been playing in the knees, and eventually arthritis sets in those, and that's where can eventually lead to
Can I ask you
problems.
to get onto the subject, and we welcome calls if you have any questions, incidentally, on 9484 1927. Young children playing sport, is there anything that parents should do to prevent injuries, or anything they can do? Is there one particular sport that they're more prone to injury?
Yeah, different sports have their different problems. Netball, we know, is pretty prone for ankle injuries in particular. But look, you're much better off having your kids playing sport than sitting around on a computer. So, and really, until you get into elite sports where it's every day for maybe 2 or 3 hours a day, that's where you become problematic with younger people, because they're just not really designed for that. So you really need to be very careful about what's happening with
my concern is, I suppose, is that there is still in a growing phase, obviously, as young children.
Yep.
And does that impair on that growth?
Yeah. So the growth plates are very much active in the bones at that stage. So as they're growing, if there's too much pressure or too much traction on those, it can affect them, or sideways pressure as well. So they can be injured a bit easily in those areas. And if they are, it's quite, it's not great. But, that's a rarity, really.
It's rare, is it?
Yeah.
What about young blokes now, which is very popular for them to be going to gyms, which is a good thing to get healthy and so on, but they are going the next step and building up very quickly and putting their body under a lot of stress as well? Again,
generally if it's done well, it's great. If it's not done well, so it's not great. So if you are intending to do bodybuilding, for example, build up muscle, we really need to be careful about the way we go about that. So the body needs a day's rest after building it. So what happens when you build muscle is that you actually tear the muscle, which is fine. It sounds like it's not fine, but it is fine. That's the way the body works. And then as it's just a minute tear, and as it repairs, it builds up the muscle. So that's how we get the muscle bulk. But what happens if we try and then work that again the next day while it's still a little bit torn, that's when we get the injury. And so that's not good.
It's very hard for them to say, I'm not going to go to the gym for a couple of days.
Well, you just work on different areas of the body is probably the best way. So you do the lower limbs one day and the upper limbs the next day. Yeah.
Okay, like I mentioned, 94841927, and of course you are with Elite Podiatry there it's West Perth, isn't it?
Not Elite Podiatry though, West Perth Osteopathy.
That's it, osteopathy. It's that word that gets me every time. What do I say? Oh, what am I saying? Podiatry. Oh, how ridiculous of me.
That's all right.
So sorry about that. Of course you don't do feet.
We do feet as well.
But you're not a podiatrist.
But not a podiatrist, right.
Silly of me. Now, this is a topic that we have touched on, and I'm feeling very guilty about this because I'm doing a lot of sitting with work and everything. So what's the risk here?
Yes, there's considerable evidence now, and this has been in the media recently. That's why I thought we might chat about it today. Is it's suggesting that prolonged sitting increases your risk of obesity, cancer, cardiovascular disease, depression, and even death.
Oh God, that covers it, doesn't it?
Not good.
There's not much left. It doesn't.
Don't sit down.
Oh.
So we've got various studies, including one from Australia. Last year that found that for every hour seated in front of TV, we cut about 22 minutes from our life. Isn't that amazing?
What?
I know. I had to reread that.
So let's just take in everyone sitting in front of their computer at night as well.
Yep. The same, yep.
Why? What's happening? What is it?
Yeah, we'll go through that. There's lots of different reasons for it. Interestingly, this contrasts with a previous study which estimated that smokers shorten their lives by about 11 minutes per cigarette.
So if
you're sitting down having 2 cigarettes a day, you're in trouble. An hour, you're in trouble.
God, I reckon I've got a couple of years left.
That's right.
This is scary stuff, isn't it?
It is.
Wonder how they've found all this information out.
Yeah, just recent research has come across it. So before we thought diet diet, exercise, sleep, not smoking. They were the really important things, probably the big four. But now we're also putting into that, and right up there with them, no prolonged sitting.
Okay, we'll go to some of the causes that happens to the body, but we've got a call first, so we won't keep them waiting. Hello, Neville.
Hi, Jenny. I just wanted to try to clear up thing. Probably about a month ago, I had a very bad knee.
Yep.
And at night, it used to wake me up, and which is strange because I thought if I walked around during the day, I knew it was there, but it never used to hurt me. But when I hop into bed, it used to pain and burn.
Yep.
So I ended up going to a specialist, and he put me on the table and he said, right, we'll have a look at your knee. And he just about shoved it in every position bar over my neck. And then a couple of days later, my knee came good. I don't know whether he's manipulated something.
Yeah.
I had an x-ray and he said, no, you're clear of arthritis. There's no osteoarthritis or anything in there.
Yep.
So he said, look, you need an MIR or MRI.
Yes, yep.
So
Neville, the thing with the x-rays, it doesn't really show up until it's fairly advanced or reasonably advanced. So what might have happened there, or firstly what's happening that was sore at night, is that during the day it would have been getting a bit of inflammation that you would have been wearing on that knee, and there would have been gradually a bit of inflammation happening. But that inflammation gets at its worst hours sort of later, and even days later sometimes. So that's why you're getting that soreness at night. The other thing is that with the moving around of the knee joint, you can definitely cause some improvements in the knee, just because sometimes that meniscus can have slight damage on it, and just manipulating that knee around can free that a little bit, for example. And sometimes the top joint, I'm not sure what the specialist did, but as osteopaths, we'll often manipulate that joint, the top joint between the fibula and the tibia. They're the two bones in the leg, the lower leg, and that can actually free up as well, and that can release a bit of tension around the knee. But don't forget, the knee can get a lot of pain from other areas as well. For example, L3, the lower back, the nerves from there can cause pain, referred pain to the knee. We can get tightness in the lateral muscles of the leg. That can cause pain to the knee. So there's lots of other reasons that might be going on.
Well, the trouble is, not the trouble, that now I've got no soreness in the knee at all. So he's done something, but I think my right heel has gone out in sympathy with my left knee.
Now that's why we're talking about holistic treatment of problems. It might well have been the right heel that was associated with the left knee, and could very well be. It would be worth actually seeing an osteopath about that, and getting them to evaluate that whole lower limb system. If you've had trouble in a heel, then a knee, you're probably going to end up with a bit of an imbalance in the pelvis as well. So it's worth getting that checked out and finding out why these things are going on. Otherwise, they'll keep happening.
The heel is when I put my foot to the ground, it feels it's like burning and sore, and
yep.
You know, if I was a horse, you'd probably shoot me. But
we'll give you a respite. The heel, that sounds like nerve pain, Neville. The burning pain is generally nerve pain. So it's definitely something that you probably be worthwhile geting checked out.
So you have to get a referral from a GP?
No, you can just ring your local osteo, or ring us at West Perth Osteopathy, and we'll fit you in.
Oh, sounds good.
Yeah, good on you, Neville.
Thanks, Neville.
Thanks, Jen.
Okay, bye-bye. Hi. Oh, Jan's decided not to hang on, so she might call back. Okay, now let's get back to this horrifying situation of losing 22 minutes of our lifespan every hour that we sit down. So I've lost about, 3 hours of my life today already. That up 5 days a week. Yeah. It may be more to do with obesity. Okay, why is this so?
Well, there's a couple of things. There's lots of reasons for this. If we just look at a couple other studies first, the National Heart Foundation of Australia has put out a statement saying that long periods of sitting can increase cardiovascular disease by 50%. So that's one of the reasons. And then this, of course, has implications for workplace and schools and at home, really. And so we might get into those later. Just because we need to address it now. But what's happening is there's lots going on when we're sitting for a long time. So firstly, there's muscle degeneration. So we get weakness in the front of our body, so the weak abs. when you stand and move and even sitting up straight, the abdominal muscles keep you upright, and they are working.
That's like a core
Yeah,
strength.
that is the core, yeah. And so when we slump in a chair, they're unused. So then the tight back muscles and the weak front muscles cause that imbalance.
You slump over a tablet as well and an iPhone, you're leaning forward, slouching usually.
And they create extra problems actually, because often you see teenagers lying on a bed with a tablet or laptop or whatever it might be, mobile phone, and so they're in a bad posture as well as being sedentary for all that time, so that creates other problems. The other muscle problems, there's the tight hips, they become a problem. So the flexible hips keep you balanced, but chronic sitters so rarely extend the hip flexors, the ones at the front, that they become short and tight, and so that limits that range of motion there. And studies have found that decreased hip mobility, which that causes, is one of the main causes for elderly people to fall.
So I think they should allow us play lunch, so we can go out to the playground at 10 o'clock in the morning, seriously, and throw a frisbee or something.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what some are doing. Some of the workplaces have got into this.
A lot of big corporations, health and safety, are actually bringing in occupational therapists and whole body vibrating machine type events to fix back problems. Number one, it's going to benefit them because they're going to have their sick days.
Yes.
And it's going to benefit the employee with their health.
Yeah, and both. And also, it's even gone further now. See, in America, I think it was 60,000 treadmill desks, they're called, where people actually just walk very slowly while they work. Brilliant. And it's great because it keeps the brain functioning better, because everything becomes sluggish when you're sitting for a long time. So you become more efficient, you become more healthy because you're moving, and you don't have all these problems.
Whoever thought we'd get to the day where we need a machine just to keep us moving a little bit, to keep our health going?
I know. Well, we just weren't designed, for this. No. It's a bit like having a Ferrari in the garage that's just purring, idling all day, and it just gets gluggy and sluggish. True. And that's what happens to us.
Well, there's so much more I could talk to you about. There really is. Thank you for that. If people have these ongoing problems, like we heard from Neville, they really should be going to an osteopath, because
it needs to be addressed, and the whole sitting needs to be addressed as well. So half an hour is really a maximum that we should be sitting at any one time.
Yeah, half an hour.
Half an hour. Yep.
I'll just play longer tracks of music, I think, and do a bit of a skip around the block. No, I really am genuine. I really am very conscious of it and very concerned that I'm not moving enough.
Play a bit of dance music and
I do that. I do move around in my chair, but I'll stand up and do it. Yes. Okay, it's not a pretty sight, I've got to tell you. Ray, thank you very much indeed for joining us today. Ray Power, registered osteopath, and he'll be back in about a month, I think. Thanks, Ray.
Thank you.